Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, glories to Srila Prabhupada, and welcome everyone to the Wednesday night reading and discussion of Chaitanya Charitamrita with the Prabhupada Disciples Association, Hare Krishna Society. And one of our missions is to create this opportunity for our members to be a part of these weekly classes, which we call sadhana. Sadhana bhakti begins with two methods, hearing and chanting. And we promote the hearing of the message of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Chaitanya Charitamrita from the unedited books of His Divine Grace, our spiritual master, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And you know, recently there have been a few events that have taken place on social media and in the news that have continued to stir the pot of controversy between Ritvikism, the term that someone manufactured that describes people that use the system of initiation of new people who are interested in Krishna consciousness as Prabhupada disciples, as opposed to Vapuism, Vapuites, who believe that you need the personal association of a neophyte, third-class devotee to give initiation. And this is really in recent news from India. There was a big court case between ISKCON Bombay that was headed up by a friend of mine for many years, Gopal Krishna. We never really met eye to eye because he had a certain point of view which none of us in Canada who were Prabhupada disciples accepted. But nonetheless, we tried to work with him. It was difficult. And in the end, we parted ways and he went on his way. And he was one of the main people that perpetrated this court case between ISKCON Bangalore and ISKCON Bombay. So fortunately, the ISKCON Bangalore group won the court case after 25 years, 20 to 25 years, and an expense from both sides of approximately, it said, $40 million US. Wow. That's a lot of money. A lot of wasted money, since we all are supposed to be singing the same song, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We're supposed to sing the same song in glorification of our spiritual master, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, His Divine Grace, and the glories of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Krishna. But this waste of money is a revelation of how confused people are on the philosophical point of Vani Vapu. Prabhupada still lives in sound, but people perpetrate this idea that you need a so-called third-class person to give you initiation in the Vapu form. And this is unfortunate. So there's a lot of publicity of that. That's one. And two, what's specifically aroused my anger, let's say, is the current promotion of Jayadvaita, Jay Israel's new, enlarged, revised version of the Bhagavad Gita. And it's quite extraordinary that they feature that. Enlarged, revised, mental concoction. This is philosophically a tragic offense against our guru, Srila Prabhupada, who told us after many years, do not change anything. In fact, we have so many quotes of this, and I tell this story regularly to all of you, that Prabhupada mentions about miracles. He said the only miracle, miracles are many, the only miracle that I can think has been performed is I did not change anything that was taught to me by my spiritual master, His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami. And that is called the change disease. It's a very, very serious form of spiritual cancer. Spiritual cancer, yeah. It'll kill you spiritually. And nothing can save you for these offenses. It's hati mata. And people criticize this, of course. This is going on. Actually, on a daily basis, people are attacking you. They're using the term loosely, Ritvik, and incorrectly. They're targeting us as offenders when they are the offenders. They're offending our system of understanding how Prabhupada has never left us. And those who understand yoga realize that linking process is through the constant hearing of his philosophy from his unchanged books. Not like Jayadvaita, Jay Israel's new edition, enlarged and revised Bhagavad Gita as it is. If that is not blatant blasphemy, I don't know how you can convince anybody if they can't see it, because they're obviously blind to that reality. And we are greatly heartened with the attention that we're now gaining from many people who want to become Prabhupada disciples and are listening to the truth of the matter from many people, not just us, but at the same time, in our organization, many people who are attending our classes on YouTube and our channel, the Hare Krishna Society YouTube channel, so please go to that. And we also have, if you're in social media, we have a group page called Prabhupada Disciples Association. And this association, we've gathered 22,800 members now. We're gradually increasing. And this is an encouragement. We really appreciate it. We're interested in quality people. And not only are we interested in having them learn the truth, we're hoping as they move along in our process of enlightenment through Prabhupada and association with bona fide disciples, that they'll also wish to become a Prabhupada disciple. Despite what people think. Oh, how can you become a disciple of a person that passed away? That's what they say. They're so cuckoo. They're slightly cuckoo. They don't get it, unfortunately. And they criticize. I had a conversation last night with somebody on Telegram. I don't really go there, Krishna Katha, but somehow or other I floated in there, and I met a couple of devotees, and they were attacking me viciously. I told them, hey, you know something, have you ever been cursed by a Brahmin? I think that scared them. I don't curse, by the way. But if you do get cursed by a Brahmin never curses. I was initiated as a Brahmin priest by our guru, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada in 1972. I wanted to curse a few people, but I never have. I have to tell you that, despite what's been done against me, guns in the building, the police, and arrests, and all kinds of things by my own god brothers. Yes. And we're not going to talk about that right now, but that's a history. No. And I told this guy, how old are you? And he refused to answer me, Ram Raghava. And I knew he was a punk 17-year-old that couldn't stop sending quotes to me, trying to justify that the Vapu position that he was in was correct. And I asked him, who's your guru? And he refused to answer. And then finally I found out it's his buddy, who's a friend of his in Bombay, and this has gone completely crazy. That's all. That's all I can say. And this is unfortunate, but this is what happens when the pure devotee leaves. They'll become chaos. But we have good people. We are not interested in a big mob of people that don't have a clue what our philosophy is, and they're not serious about spiritual life at all. That's a prerequisite. And Prabhupada, I'm going to read a section here that I posted on PDA, and I thought you would find it rather interesting. We get quite a few reviews of our posts. We probably had 1 million reviews of the posts since its operation 3 years ago, at least 1 million. So we're getting some impact. It's not very big, but it's something. Let's get that post if we can put that up. It's a very interesting. It's unfortunate, though, that those people in the ISKCON Guru GBC Mafia don't read our Guru's explanations of truth. I use the term mafia because the mafia used to live across the street from me in Hamilton, and unfortunately both of the brothers were murdered a few years ago. So I used to see the mafia every day for 18 years. showing up with their big trucks and their flowers and kissing, and it was something else. They are preoccupied with their own personal ambitions and their compromised roles as members of that institution. That movement is totally bogus and is proving to be a disaster for the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya. Deviation. It is not the way that Prabhupada and his guru wanted it to be operated. They both wanted a GBC board as a management board, but not zonal gurus. After the Gaudiya Math, after the founder left the mortal plane, they immediately started to fight and split the whole Gaudiya Math into different sectarian groups with different individual gurus, like the ISKCON movement has become now. This was so much against Bhaktisiddhanta's requests and Srila Prabhupada's, but these neophytes that come around, they don't know anything. But they'll talk, they can't shut up. There is a very little understanding of the Vani principle in these groups, and as a result, their teachings are very much sahajiya and misleading innocent people. The ISKCON movement is dead philosophically. Let their leaders come forward and defend their position. They won't because they can't. Enjoy the below presentation by Srila Prabhupada back in 1936 that provides deep insights into our Guru Parampara reality. And here is the offering from Srila Prabhupada, and I want you to really listen carefully to Prabhupada's words here. Gentlemen, the offering of such a homage as has been arranged this evening to the Acharya Dev is not a sectarian concern. For when we speak of the fundamental principle of Guru Dev or Acharya Dev, we speak of something that is of universal application. In ISKCON, nowadays, it's become guru cults. Sectarian groups, one person saying his guru is better than the other group that says their guru is better than their group, and this is sectarianism, complete chaos. There does not arise any question of discriminating by guru from yours or anyone else's. See Prabhupada speaking. There is only one guru who appears in an infinity of forms to teach you, me and all others. Thus it has been enjoined herewith that in order to receive the transcendental knowledge, one must approach the guru. Therefore, if the absolute truth is one, about which we think there is no difference of opinion, the guru also cannot be two. Just meditate on that. If you have any questions, by the way, you can call us to get clarification. The Acharya Dev, for whom we have been assembled tonight to offer our humble homage, is not the guru of a sectarian institution or one out of many different exponents of the truth. On the contrary, he is the Jagat Guru, or the Guru of all of us. The only difference is that some obey him wholeheartedly, while others do not obey him directly. Gaudiya Math Part 1, ISKCON Part 2. See it clearly? Is there any confusion? No. Acharyam Nam Viganiyam Nava Manyeta Karichit Na Marcha Buddha Yas Shuyeta Sarvadeva Mayo Guru. One should understand the spiritual master to be as good as I am, said the blessed Lord. Nobody should be jealous of the spiritual master or think of him as an ordinary man, because the spiritual master is the sum total of all demigods. And we'll discuss that later in our section on the authorized, unauthorized bio of Srila Prabhupada. That is, the Acharya has been identified with God himself. He has nothing to do with the affairs of this mundane world. He does not descend here to meddle with the affairs of temporary necessities, but to deliver the fallen conditioned souls, the souls or entities who have come to here to the material world with motive of enjoyment by the mind and the 5 organs of sense and perception. He appears before us to reveal the light of the Vedas and to bestow upon us the blessings of full-fledged freedom, after which we should hanker at every step in our life's journey. Very profound. One who interprets the divine sound of Sabda Brahma by his imperfect sense perception cannot be a real spiritual guru, because in the absence of proper disciplinary training under the bona fide acharya, the interpreter is sure to differ from Vyasadeva, as the Mayavadis do. Srila Vyasadeva is the prime authority of the Vedic revelation, and therefore such an irrelevant interpreter cannot be accepted as the guru or acharya, however so equipped he may be with all the acquirements of material knowledge. So Prabhupada is referring to his godbrothers here. Just know it. He is. Gentlemen, our knowledge is so poor, our senses are so imperfect, and our sources are so limited that it is not possible for us to have even the slightest knowledge of the absolute region without surrendering ourselves at the lotus feet of Sri Vyasadeva or his bona fide representative. Every moment we are being deceived by the knowledge of our direct perception. It is all the creation or concoction of the mind, which is always deceiving, changing, and flickering. Don't you see it? We, keep going, we cannot know anything of the beautiful picture there, by the way, anything of the transcendental region by our limited perverted method of observation and experiment. But all of us can lend our ears to the oral reception of the transcendental sound transmitted from that region to this through the unadulterated medium of Srila Gurudev or Sri Vyasadeva. Yes, not some kind of Sahajya, third-class devotee who thinks he's become a Diksha Guru in ISKCON. Therefore, gentlemen, we should surrender ourselves today at the feet of the representative of Sri Vyasadeva for the elimination of all of our differences bred by our submissive attitude. Just see that. Who's unsubmissive to Srila Prabhupada? J. Israel. To receive the transcendental knowledge, we must completely surrender ourselves to the real vehicle by which we can assimilate the transcendental message. Utishta ta jagrata prapya varna nibodhata surashya dhara nishita durata yaya durgam patasta kavavayo vandati. Please wake up and try to understand the boon that you now have in this human form of life. The path of spiritual realization is very difficult. It is sharp like a razor's edge. That is the opinion of learned transcendental scholars. Gentlemen, and all of us here listening to this afternoon or this evening, although it is imperfectly that we have been enabled by grace to understand the sublime messages of our Acharya Dev, Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Paribrajacharya Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, we must admit that we have realized definitely that the divine message from his holy lips is the congenial thing for suffering humanity. And so much as well for our Srila Prabhupada. All of us should hear him patiently. If we listen to the transcendental sound without unnecessary operation, he will surely have mercy upon us. The Acharya's message is to take us back to our original home, back to Godhead. We are not the body. Let me repeat, therefore, we should hear him patiently, follow him in the message of our conviction, and bow down at his lotus feet for releasing us from our present causeless unwillingness for serving the Absolute and all souls. Just see how this has become Gaudiya Mat Part 2. Prabhupada speaking in 1936, Gaudiya Mat Part 1. Gentlemen, do not for a moment think that my Gurudev wants to put a complete break on, let me see that message, someone just put us there, modern civilization, an impossible feat. But let us learn from him the art of making the best use of a bad bargain. And let us understand the importance of human life, which is fit for the highest development of true consciousness. The best use of this rare human life should not be neglected. One is said to be situated in the fully renounced order of life if he lives in accordance with Krishna consciousness. He should be without attachment for sense gratification, should only accept what is necessary for the upkeep of the body. I want to stress this. Renunciation does not mean pink robes. It means a state of Krishna consciousness. It has nothing to do with male or female. It has to do with the spirit soul accepting the platform that they are eternal servants of their guru. That's it, a bona fide guru. The purport of these slokas can only be realized. On the other hand, one who renounces things that can be used in the service of Krishna under the pretext of such things are material does not practice complete renunciation. The purport of these slokas can only be realized by fully developing the rational portion of our life, not the animal portion. Sitting at the feet of the Acharya Dev, let us try to understand from this transcendental source of knowledge what we are, what is this universe, what is God, and what is our relationship with him. The message of Lord Chaitanya is the message for the living entities and the message of the living world. Lord Chaitanya did not bother himself for the upliftment of this dead world, which is suitably named Marchaloka, the world where everything is destined to die. He appeared before us 450 years ago to tell us something of the transcendental universe which everything is permanent and everything is for the service of the Absolute. Personally, I have no hope for any direct service for the coming crores of births of the sojourn of my life, but I am confident, and all of us should be confident and patient, that someday or other I shall be delivered from the mire of delusion in which I am at present so deeply sunk. Therefore, let me, with all my earnestness, pray at the lotus feet of my divine master, and may I insert his divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and tears should come to my eyes to allow me to suffer the lot for which I am destined due to my past misdoings, but to let me have this power of recollection that I am nothing but a tiny servant of the Almighty Absolute Godhead, realized through the unflinching mercy of my Divine Master. Let me therefore bow down at the lotus feet with all humility at my command. Srila Prabhupada, 1938. Complete explanation of the purpose of human life and how to execute it properly by Srila Prabhupada to all of us in 2025. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, the divine spiritual master of the Hare Krishna movement, Prabhupada Disciples Association, and all of you who are attending our classes, please consider taking up this effort to become disciples of Prabhupada in the near future, and we can rebuild this movement and reinitiate 4,700 new disciples and carry this movement on for the next 10,000 years. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hari Bol. Let's go ahead with the chanting of Jaya Radha Madhava, and then we'll have our reading and discussion with His Grace Yashodanandana Prabhu. Hari Bol.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Banachari. Jamuna Tira Banachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Banachari. Jamuna Tira Banachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Muspa Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Sattva Smala Piriddhanta Saraswati Goswami Bhagavad Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Ki Jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityānanda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivāsari Gaur Bhaktamani Ki Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Mokh Gopinath Sam Khund Radha Khund Giri Godhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Guru Dwarka Dham Ki Jai. Swami Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the Assembly. All glories to the Assembly. Thank you very much.
All glories to you, Srila Prabhupada. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Narayanam namaskritya. Narayanam namaskritya. Naram cheva narottamam. Naram cheva narottamam. Devim saraswatim vyasam. Devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayat. Tato jayam mudirayat. One should utter the means of conquest, Srimad Bhagavatam, after offering respectful obeisances, 1, to the personality of Godhead, Narayana, 2, to the Narayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4, to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. From Srimad Bhagavatam 1-4. Welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. This reading is conducted on the basis of the original 1975 unrevived, non-adulterated original edition, all English synonyms, translations, and purports by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. As we do every week, we will be reciting a few selected verses from the Adi Lila, chapter 1, from text 18 through 22, which describes the meaning and the benefit of hearing this powerful transcendental literature. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityānanda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Glory to Sri Chaitanya and Nityānanda. Glory to Advaita Chandra, and glory to all the devotees of Sri Gaura, Lord Chaitanya. Etina Thakur Gaudiya Ki Karya Chena Yatmasat. Etinera Charana Vandan Tiremorenat. These three deities of Vrindavana, Madan Mohan, Govinda, and Gopinatha, have absorbed the heart and soul of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, followers of Lord Chaitanya. I worship their lotus feet, for they are the lords of my heart. Grantera Rambi Kari Mangala Charana, Guru Vaishnav Bhagavan Tinera Smarana. In the beginning of this narration, simply by remembering the spiritual master, the devotees of the Lord, and the personality of Godhead, I have invoked their benedictions. Tinera Smaraneai Vigna Vinashana, Anayaseai Nijavanchita Purana. Such remembrance destroys all difficulties and very easily enables one to fulfill his own desires. Se mangala charanoi trivida prakar vastu nirdesa chiravada namaskara. The invocation involved 3 processes defining the objective, offering benediction, and offering obeisances. Let us proceed with our selected verse for this week. We are reading from Adi Lila, chapter 5, text 152. Krishna avatare jeshto hoile sibar karan. Krishna te karela nana shuka asvadan. Krishna avatari. In the incarnation of Lord Krishna, Jeshta hoila, he became the elder brother, Sivara Karan, for the purpose of service, Krishna ki to Krishna, Karaela made, Nana various, Sukha happiness, Asvadana tasting. Translation: when Lord Krishna appeared, he, Balarama, became his elder brother to serve him to his heart's content and make him enjoy all sorts of happiness. Text 153. Ram Lakshman Krishna Ramera Amsa Vishesha Avatari Kali Don Hidon Hati Pravesha Rama Lakshmana Ramachandra and Lakshmana Krishna Ramera Amsa Vishesha, particular expansions of Lord Krishna and Lord Balarama, Avatara Kali, at the time of incarnation, Donhe, both of them, Rama and Lakshmana, Donhati Pravesha, entered into them both, Krishna and Balarama. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Sri Ram and Sri Lakshmana, who are plenary portions of Lord Krishna, and Lord Balarama entered into them at the time of Krishna and Balaram's appearance. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. With reference to the Vishnu Dharmottara, the Lagu Bhagavatamrita explains that Rama is an incarnation of Vasudeva, Lakshmana is an incarnation of Sankarsana, Bharata is an incarnation of Pradyumna, and Shatrugna is an incarnation of Aniruddha. The Padma Purana describes that Ramachandra is Narayana, and Lakshmana, Bharata, and Shatrugna are respectively Shesha, Chakra, and Shanka, the conch shell in the hand of Narayana. In the Rama Gita of the Skanda Purana, Lakshmana, Bharata, and Shatrugna have been described as the triple attendants of Lord Rama. Text 154. Seam Shalan Jishta Kamishta Biman Amsam Shirupe Shastri Karaye Vyakyan Seam Shalan, taking that plenary portion, Jeshta Kanishta Abhiman, considering themselves the elder or younger, Amsha Amshirupe, as the expansion and the original supreme personality of Godhead, Shastre, in the revealed scriptures, Karaye, does, Vyakyan, explanation, translation. Krishna and Balarama present themselves as elder or younger brother, but in the scriptures they are described as the original supreme personality of Godhead. Text 155. Ramadi Murtishu Kalaniya Menatishtanana Avatara Makarad Bhuvanishu Kintu Krishna Swayam Samabhavat Paramahpumanyo Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Rama Adi, the incarnation of Lord Rama, etc. Murtishu, in different forms. Kalaniyamena, by the order of plenary portions. Tishtan, existing. Nana, various. Avataram, incarnations. Akarat, executed. Bhuvaneshu, within the worlds. Kintu, but. Krishna, Lord Krishna. Swayam, personally. Samabhavat, appeared. Paramaha, the supreme. Puman, person. Ya, who? Govindam, unto Lord Govinda. Adi Purusham, the original person. Tam, unto him. Aham, I. Bhajami, offer obeisances. Translation. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who by his various plenary portions appeared in the world in different forms and incarnations, such as Lord Rama, but who personally appears in his supreme original form as Lord Krishna. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. This is a quotation from Brahma Samhita 539. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Nityānanda Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhakti Vedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Bhagavad Vandana Khadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Charkara Yuktam Kadatehi Visheshata Adadana Strinam Danteridam Yache Punaha Punaha Srimad Rupa Padam Bhoja Dulishyam Janma Janmani Amsho Bhagavato Smyaham Sadadaso Asmi Sarvata Tat Kripa Pikshako Nityam Tat Prishta Chatakaromishvam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityānanda Shri Advaita Gadadara Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. As we've discussed many times before, this particular section of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita is very, very important. Of course, every section of Chaitanya Charitamrita is very important. But what Krishnadas Kaviraj is doing is he's taking the first 14 verses of the Adi Lila chapter 1 and explaining all the fundamental tattvas or fundamental truths of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Now, we've studied, kind by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and Krishnadas Kaviraj, the position of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the exalted position of his divine position. We have studied the position of Lord Nityānanda, and we are still reading about the exalted position of Lord Nityānanda, according to one of the foremost authorities in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. This is not something that is a matter of argument or a matter of debate. This is accepted as such by all the bona fide followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, it's important to note that in the history of Gaudiya Vaishnavism at different times, there have been different deviated ideologies which have tended to infiltrate. And in our movement, we have seen this. After the disappearance or non-manifested presence of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada in 1977, we've seen different ideologies surface, come up. Now, sometimes it's very insidious. It is not very easy to detect, but eventually it comes out. It's very interesting that Vishwakarma Prabhu read from that address of Srila Prabhupada or Srila Prabhupada in honor of His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, this beautiful lecture that he gave in 1936 in Bombay, India. It's very, very important fundamental truths that Srila Prabhupada is explaining. Prabhupada was not interested in blind fanatics, in uneducated, foolish people who claim to be Vaishnavas but do not understand Vaishnava philosophy or the meaning of the position of the great Acharya and great Acharyas, plural. Just on the chat, while the kirtan was going on, I just put a quote Incidentally, my good friend, Dr. Singh, was very fond of that particular Sanskrit, very brief Sanskrit. This is from the Chandogya Upanishad. Srila Prabhupada explains, that is the first thing, Acharya Upasanam. But these rascals, they do not do that. They have no Acharya. Still, they write comment on Bhagavad Gita, you see. This is the rascaldom. Acharya Upanasam. One must go. Acharyavan Purusho Veda. Unless one accepts Acharya, he does not know anything. Now, why are we quoting this? Because the position of Krishna consciousness in our movement is to understand the position of the Acharya. When we speak of the Acharya, we're referring to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the current Acharya of the Krishna consciousness movement. Some people may object, well, how can he be the current Acharya since he's not physically living? He is always living in sound. Those of you who have come to this program at different times know that many times we've quoted a portion of a lecture from Srila Prabhupada on the appearance day of his Guru Maharaj in 1975 in Atlanta, Georgia, USA, where Srila Prabhupada explained, it is not that he is dead and gone. This is not spiritual understanding, unquote. This is very important to understand because it seems after 46, 47 years since Srila Prabhupada ended his manifested pastimes, some people still don't get it. They still don't understand. They seem to think that you can replace Srila Prabhupada by some kind of voting process, like some kind of a Paramamsa assembly line or a Mahabhagavat factory. The spiritual process does not work that way. You cannot rubber stamp somebody to the position of Acharya by a vote or an election process. That is not the standard that Prabhupada gave. Now, you can put somebody in a position as an assistant, a temple president, a secretary, a treasurer, a Samkirtan leader, or a manager. Yeah, you can, that is an acceptable understanding. Prabhupada did that. But to elevate somebody to the highest position of spiritual life, to the level of a Paramahamsa, or on the level of Nikunjayuno or Sakshat Hari, you can't do that by vote. It's been attempted. We do not mean to deride or falsely criticize anybody, but once you take that position of thinking that you're on that level, you're committing a big mistake, especially for those who take worship on that level. Now, we've all seen in the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, in the story of King Prithu, when King Prithu was being glorified by the great poets and reciters called Pauranikas, because in the Vedic system, they used to have different professionals who would use to sing the glories of the king or the leader. And King Prithu interrupted them. He says, you do not need to glorify me because these qualities you are describing have not manifested yet. And Prabhupada writes in the purport, if a person accepts glorification of worship, I'm paraphrasing here, for different qualities which have not yet manifested, this is like an insult. It is not Guru Puja, it is Guru Ninda. Because you cannot artificially put somebody in that position. That's why we say, Acharyavan Purusho Veda, we have to very carefully, very attentively, and systematically study each and every word, each and every verse, each and every lecture of the Acharya, Srila Prabhupada. Just recently, I saw an exchange on Facebook. where one devotee was quoting an alleged statement of Srila Prabhupada. He was quoting, oh, Prabhupada said, disciple of my disciple. And I pointed out, no, that is not the proper context. That is not the complete statement. What Srila Prabhupada actually said, factually said, I'm speaking in legal terms here, direct evidence. When I order, then you become. In that conversation, the word order was mentioned 3 times. So naturally, an intelligent man or woman or devotee will ask himself the question, well, did that order factually happen? It's interesting that Prabhupada was very specific when he was using Bengali words and Sanskrit words to give certain directives and to explain things. This is very important. Prabhupada was very specific. But when we study all the conversations that took place, specifically between April 22nd of 1977 and November 14th, 1977, the word Diksha Guru or initiating a child doesn't show up anywhere. Why? Because Prabhupada had no intention, no desire to bring a Gaudiya Math Part 2 concoction in his society. Very simple. I'm having some issues with my computer here. Prabhupada was very specific. Don't change anything. Do not turn my institution like the Gaudiya Math or the Catholic Church. Don't imitate. Just follow the process. Don't change anything. What did they do? They changed everything. They engaged in blatant, impudent imitation. Everything he asked them to do, they did the other way. And then we see 46, 47 years later, the blind followers and supporters of this nonsense system are arguing so many different things, but they can't even quote exactly what Prabhupada said. Why are they avoiding Prabhupada's actual words? Why? We know why. Personal motivation, the desire for profit, adoration and distinction, PAD. I'm not referring to the PADA, the Prabhupada Anti-Defamation Association. I'm referring to a very dangerous, insidious disease which has infiltrated and infected the entire society. The desire for profit, the desire for adoration and distinction. Srila Prabhupada was not giving positions as so-called successors, so-called appointed gurus. This is all nonsense. This is all fabrication. The mastermind of that whole process even admitted in Topanga, California, Topanga Canyon, California, USA, on December 3rd, 1980. You can't show me anywhere, quote from him, you can't show me anywhere where Prabhupada says that these 11 are appointed as gurus. Oh, really? But yet the propaganda was going on. Oh, Prabhupada appointed them. Prabhupada appointed his successors. You need a living representative. Oh, really? What were the temple presidents? They were not representatives? What were all the senior devotees, the Samkirtan leaders, the sannyasis? Prabhupada made 5,000 representatives. He had no interest in creating a specific class of so-called appointed representative. This is exactly what took place in the Gaudiya Math in 1937. But some people don't learn from history. They keep repeating the same mistake again and again and again. Why? Because they don't take the time to hear submissively from the Acharya. Their intelligence gets bewildered. We've often quoted as part of this program a letter that Prabhupada sent to a devotee named Ishan Prabhu in 1970, where Prabhupada described, quote, As soon as there is personal motivation, it is not possible to understand our Krishna consciousness philosophy, unquote. This is the explanation right there why some people don't get it. Even though they spent a lot of time with Prabhupada, they had big positions from Prabhupada, they got a lot of letters from Prabhupada, they had a lot of physical, personal living association with Prabhupada. Unfortunately, many of them did not understand the philosophy because they were not submissively hearing the message. It's not a very complicated message. When Prabhupada says, don't change anything, the first thing they do is change everything. Everything was changed up and down. The method of deity worship, the method of guru puja, the method of obeisances, everything was changed up and it's still not been rectified. It is still ongoing. The attachment to this desire of being worshipped is very, very deep. Very deep. And we've seen it. We've seen it. Prabhupada, often you give the example that if you start your calculation in the wrong way, 2 + 2 = 5, or 2 equals 4.5, it's guaranteed you're going to go and calculate at the end, you will have a mistake. There will be a mistake. You cannot change the words of the Acharya. You cannot interpret according to your own speculation. What to speak of suppressing the actual words of the Acharya and suppressing discussion. What were they hiding? What was the big rush? We soon found out what the big rush, taking over the assets of the society, falsely declaring themselves Prabhupada's successors. Then came, they had to adjust the philosophy. They started to change Prabhupada's books. Those of you who are familiar, they changed a very important verse from the Bhagavad Gita, from he has seen the truth to they have seen the truth. Oh, really? They have seen the truth? That's why we see so many disturbances in Srila Prabhupada's society, his original society. The real movement is going on all around them, but they can't see it. It's right in front of them. They can't see it. Just because somebody has the control of the bricks and stones of the society doesn't mean they've understood the message of the Acharya of the society. How many times have we spoken on this program about the danger of changing the books of the Acharya, the message of the Acharya? If they say they follow the Acharya, how can they be changing his words? That's a contradiction. If you say you represent the Acharya, you present the teachings of the Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, why are you so busy changing his words, changing his books, changing his instructions? You can put whatever tilak you, just like, for example, Prabhupada said on January 7th, 1977 in Bombay, India, no more sannyas in ISKCON. What did they do? They didn't care what he said. They disobeyed him right from the start. It became political sannyas. To increase their zonal empires, they needed some faithful assistance, so they gave sannyas like some kind of gift, some kind of position. We know this. Whenever a political party comes to power, they give highly paid position to their donors, to their assistants, to their supporters. This goes on all around the world. But Prabhupada said no more. They didn't care. They didn't care. I was personally in Prabhupada's room when Prabhupada called 2 of his senior disciples and told them, please do not turn my institution like the Gaudiya Math or the Catholic Church. What did they do? Who did they go to consult in March of 1978? You know what I'm talking about. Exactly. Thank you very much for your time. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Of Prabhupada's movement, we experienced it directly. So the direct experience of this chaos has been part of our journey in time. And I wanted to bring up a topic that myself and Yashodanandana Prabhu were discussing earlier today about Jayananda Prabhu. Jayananda was a completely surrendered soul to His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. And if you get a chance to read his history, it discloses how he was surrendered. For example, he got an inheritance from his family, and he took all of the money and gave it to Srila Prabhupada to print books. Oh, yeah. And when he was in San Francisco, he was working as a taxi cab driver during the day, and he gave all of the money he earned to Srila Prabhupada, everything, and he stayed at the temple. He surrendered everything. And he became a ambassador of the Rath Yatra program that Prabhupada wanted to introduce into America. Actually, we started in Toronto the traveling Rath Yatra program with Vatsal and Charu and his wife, Devi Deva, myself. We established that to facilitate Rath Yatra. And during that time, I was blessed with the opportunity to speak to him on the phone, Jayananda, before his passing away. Just like I also had a chance to speak to the first disciple in Russia, Ananda Shanti. I had recently, about 7 years ago, a chance to speak to him in detail about how he was abused by his godbrothers in Russia, Harikesh and the rest of them. And he ended up in jail in a prison and was strapped to a table for 2 years and injected because of the offenses of his godbrothers against him and Srila Prabhupada. So Jayananda, coming back to him, he was successful in Krishna consciousness because he wasn't interested in position. He was reluctant to even speak. When I was in New York for the 76th Rath Yatra, he was working, they arranged a parcel of land through Donald Trump to erect the Rath Yatra cart festivals. And Murli Krishna, who eventually joined me in Toronto and was vice president, he was working with Jayananda, and he became inspired by Jayananda's personal surrender, Prabhu, to devotional service. It's not that you become a so-called scholar and then you think you become bigger than your guru, and now you've got an enlarged, revised edition of the Bhagavad Gita that's going to be released very soon by the so-called ISKCON Sahajiyas, headed by Jay Israel, Jayadvaita. That's not how you go back to Godhead, by pretending you're some kind of scholar. Jayananda was reluctant to speak publicly. We have another godbrother of ours, Rochisha Devi Das, he knows, Aprakrita Das in Montreal, who recently passed away 2 years ago. Was it 2 years ago, Rochisha? One? Look at this. See this? This is a bookmark. You can't see it. The printing's small, but you get an idea. Aprakrita sent me these bookmarks. He sent me 500 as a present. And he would constantly send me over items to support my work in Hamilton for preaching work. And I can reassure you, everyone, that he was strictly following the 4 regulative principles, chanting his rounds, rising early in the morning, or organizing Rath Yatras in Montreal, organizing Prashadam distribution, organizing street kirtans, all his life. Actually, when I was vice president of Montreal Yatra in the 70s, that's when he joined. And there were all kinds of devotees joining. Back then, Shivaram joined. He was Bhakti Steve. And in Toronto, we had Bhakti Marg. He joined. John Viss was his name. So we were instrumental in assisting these people to take up the mission. But Aprakrita was also a completely surrendered soul. And like Nityānanda, through their humble service attitude, everyone, their surrender to Prabhupada's mission, his legacy, his devotional service, the disciplic succession, tracing back to Rupa Goswami, the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, and to Lord Chaitanya, through that surrender, the quality of that surrender is the secret of success, not a whole mob of neophytes that are propagating bogus philosophy in the name of Vapuism. It's completely off target. Now, someone could say, well, how do you know, Vishva? Well, we experienced it. We are experiencing it. It's not that we're just talking about it. It's very interesting, Ramaragha. I was reading today in Nectar of Instruction in the 6th verse. It's a verse about chanting Hare Krishna, about the holy name. And the purport reveals to the reader that if you chant the holy name without offenses, eventually you'll become self-realized. What is the difference between Jnanam and Vijnanam? People talk. Lots of people talk. Talk, talk, talk. Talk is cheap. But do you have realization? Do you understand this philosophy when you walk out on the street? Do you see it when you look at the conditioned souls that you pass by on the street and see their physical forms? Do you see it in the forest when you see the animals, the birds, the insects, all of this? Do you see it? Well, for those that read these books from Srila Prabhupada, if you read them forensically over and over again, and you chant your rounds and you follow the principles, you will get Vijnanam. We guarantee it. You will not be speaking from the platform of mental speculation and mental concoction, which is the business of our God brothers who are pretending, posturing, and posing as Guru, Uttama Adhikarya, Guru Dikshas in that movement that Srila Prabhupada created. And we want more people to become serious about taking up the responsibility of becoming Prabhupada disciples with us. Yes, we want that. And we're not going to talk about that right now, but we have a program that we've designed for people like all of you. And some of you are stepping forward, and we're so excited for all of you, all of the devotees that are coming forward for initiation in the near future. And we've already approved them on the basis of the system that Prabhupada taught me personally when I was president of ISKCON Toronto for 11 years. Oh, how do you know this? some kind of neophyte from India, 17 years old. Well, how do you know this, Prabhu? Because I experienced it directly. Did Prabhupada come up to you and call you person Bhagavatam and point his cane at you, you punk from nowhere who's never done anything except mouth off? That's what people do. Don't mind me, Prabhus. From week to week, it's a battle, eh, Ram Raghava? I know he had an incident in England last week. I'm not going to talk about it. He may want to mention it. But this bogus philosophy of the guru, of the ISKCON gurus, and their changing of the books and all of this type of chaos is not the way that Jayananda and Aprakrita practice devotional service. That's the point. And we have direct experience with these people. And both of us, Yashoda Nandana Prabhu, more with Jayananda than myself. And Prabhupada declared, and he was in the room when Prabhupada declared it, that Jayananda has gone back to Godhead. And that is the greatest victory for a spiritual master, to liberate even just one conditioned soul out of this material world, because it's very difficult. Oh my God, isn't it hard? We can think, oh, there's so many devotees. Well, yeah, just like there are so many Catholics. There's so many Jews. And there's even more Muslims. But how many people have the opportunity to associate with a bona fide spiritual master in the disciplic succession from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? How many people, Maxin, how many people in the world, in this universe, get this opportunity? It's hardly anybody. And we want to reinitiate 4,700 approximately new Prabhupada disciples and let them carry on with this mission when we all depart. And the mission of Lord Chaitanya will continue for 10,000 years and be successful. I'm going to end that little program that I spoke now. We're going to switch over to another section of our class, reading and discussion, which is the unauthorized, the review of the unauthorized biography written by Stephen, whatever his last name is, in Gita Nagri. I remember he interviewed me in 1978. He left out all the stuff about Canada and everything. It was just, if you look at his paintings, he's kind of a lunatic. And he's got a very bad history. And how could a Kanishta Adhikari be able to understand an Uttama Adhikari? You can't do it. You're a Sahajya. You're just talking. You're trying to promote yourself as some kind of big author, but you're a hoax. You're a fraud. You're a cheater. And this whole organization is an organization of misinformation. Remember that. And that equates with indoctrination. And we are here to destroy it. And we're going to go forward with this particular section of the program with Yashodanandana Prabhu and his editorial team. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. We are reading from the Lilamrita Review, which is basically a review of the various statements in the Lilamrita that claim, that purports to represent Srila Prabhupada's life. We are quoting directly from Srila Prabhupada's books itself. We are reading from Lilamrita Review, part number 3, page number 15. Section number 3, subsection, under the shelter of Krishna, but the Lilamrita postulates that his divine grace was less secure than bums on the street, and that he was vulnerable, not knowing what to do. From Lilamrita, book number 2, page 96. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj now had to face starkly that he had not one friend of stature in the U.S. Suddenly, he was as homeless as any derelict on the street. In fact, many of them were more secure than he. They were ruined but settled. In Lilamrita book number 2, page 95 and 96, Prabhupada moved quickly down the 4th flight of stairs. He had not stopped to gather up any of his belongings, or even to decide where he would go or whether he would return. There had been no time to consider anything. Where was he going? He did not know. He had come onto the street without knowing where he would go. It was no place to stand wondering where you will live, or is there a friend you can turn to. From Lilamrita, book number 2, page 96, by nightfall, he would have to find some place to stay, a way to keep up the momentum of his preaching. This is what it meant to be working without government sponsorship, without a patron. It means being vulnerable and insecure. Webster's dictionary defines vulnerable as open to attack or danger, capable of being wounded. It further defines insecure as unsafe, unprotected. However, Srila Prabhupada writes differently. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 8, text number 12. Hiranyakashipu did not know that Prahlad Maharaj was the most fortunate person within the 3 worlds, because Prahlada was protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such are the misunderstandings of demons. They do not know that a devotee is protected by the Lord in all circumstances. Srila Prabhupada explains in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 16, text number 6, the Lord assures herein that he is ready to give protection to his devotee, even if there is need to cut off part of his own body. Prabhupada further explains in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 4, text number 28, a devotee being always engaged in the service of the Lord may not be expert in self-defense, but because a devotee fully depends on the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is always sure of protection by the Lord. A devotee is always merged in an ocean of transcendental bliss, of rendering service to the Lord. Therefore, he is not at all afraid of any adverse situation in the material world. For the protection of the devotees, Krishna's disc is always ready. Srila Prabhupada explains in Canto number 4, Chapter 27, text number 20, 30. In this connection, it is significant that Narada was immune to the attack of Jara or invalidity. And similarly, Jara or the destructive force cannot attack any follower of Narada Muni or a pure Vaishnava. Prabhupada explains in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 12, text number 16, such transcendental literatures, missionaries, and representative of the Lord are spotlessly white, because the contamination of the material qualities cannot even touch them. They are always protected by the Lord when they are threatened with annihilation. We have from Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 18, text number 58, a person in full Krishna consciousness is not unduly anxious to execute the duties of his existence. The foolish cannot understand this great freedom from all anxiety. For one who acts in Krishna consciousness, Lord Krishna becomes the most intimate friend. He always looks after his friend's comfort, and he gives himself to his friend who is so devotedly engaged, working 24 hours a day to please the Lord. Thank you very much. We will continue this Lilamrita review on Saturday morning at 7 o'clock a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Yeah,
Spasibo.
that's
Spasibo.
our new section, and we will be releasing this book to the public in the near future, along with a complete guide to self-realization and easy journey to some other books we're not going to disclose right now, but we're carrying on with the presentation of the truth without adulteration. And it's important for us to understand that we all have to have a purpose and a mission in our life. Otherwise, what is the value of your life? If you empty your life by renunciation and you don't fill it up with purpose, real renunciation means purpose, activity. Once you fill the cup up with milk, no ink can enter. Prabhupada gave that simple example. Once you fill your life up with devotional activity, then you can get vijnanam, real realization. And we're going to go to some members of our panel. But, and I saw a really interesting question, Yashodanandana Prabhu, about Varnashram. And I do want to make some comments on it. I have some experience in that. But first, let's go to Ram Raghava in Georgia, who's helping us host the program tonight. And Prabhu, how many people are on the YouTube channel this evening?
Today, Hare Krishna. Today we had up to 12. Right now there are 10 people on YouTube live stream.
Okay. Well, that's a good turnout. We like that, and other people will come anyway. Could you read the question that was posed by, what, I don't know the initials. Who is that? Initials,
VPD.
Yeah, who's VPD? Who is that?
Oh,
Doesn't matter. I mean, I'm just curious.
So his question is, if Lord Chaitanya did not recommend Varnashram during talks with Ramananda Rao, then why did Srila Prabhupada want to establish Varnashram in modern society?
Very good question. And by the way, when I read that section of Chaitanya Charitamrita, a light bulb went off in my mind that yes, our main business is Sankirtan, book publication, book distribution, and educating people in Krishna consciousness. So why Varnashram? Why did Prabhupada bring that about? Well, circumstance brought it about. That's what happened. Because the main focus was kirtan, was books. Prabhupada didn't come to America specifically for that. And when we read the diary, but what happened? There was this guy, Keith Ham. The first project that was started was in West Virginia. This guy, Keith, who was somewhat deranged, actually quite deranged. Prabhupada had a very difficult group of people that he had to deal with in the early days. And most of them have either died or blooped or gone off into Maya. They're just completely lost. Everybody. Because they didn't read, they didn't respect. But Prabhupada was trying to engage people. This guy shows up in the West Virginia, in the hills of West Virginia, in a destitute place. I've been to New Vrindavan in the early years, 1971, 72, when they came there and attacked the place with shotguns. I was hiding up in the mountains as a brahmachari. We had a bus, afraid of being killed by these hillbillies. This was survival of the fittest back then. And the conditions were despicable. But this guy, Keith, had this idea, oh, I'm going to build a Varnashram community. I'm going to protect the clouds. Okay, it's a good idea. And especially when you have a lot of grihastas that are looking for an alternative lifestyle instead of working in offices and in the city in various industrial jobs. So, and back then, in the 60s, there were theme songs that were coming from the hippies going to the country. We're going to the country. We're going to live a natural life. We're going to be natural people. Yeah, okay. So he comes up with the idea and they start New Vrindavan, which has a whole history of disaster. Complete disaster. Not Prabhupada's fault. The result of the bogus gurus. So Varnashram was designed for grihastas, yes. Let the grihastas have a place of land, let them grow food, let them feed their children, set up their own private schools. It was a great dream. Now how are they surviving? Well, they're fracking New Vrindavan. You know what fracking is? Fracking is where you take oil from the earth. It's exchanging. They sold all the rights, the oil rights on that land for companies to frack it and take the oil out of the land. And that's how they're paying to operate New Vrindavan now. Is it a success? Has there been any success? Well, I tried twice to open up farms and get people to take up that role back in the 70s. All failed. Everything failed. Is it the failure of the idea? The main focus of our movement is to save the conditioned souls from the repeated cycle of birth and death, not how to grow cauliflower and broccoli. Okay, that's okay. If you can do it, if you're a farmer, go ahead and do it. Try to live off the land. You're a married man, you've got kids, you want to be away from the city. Prabhupada wanted us in the cities. Prabhupada wanted us in the airports. I used to go to O'Hare Airport and sell books there. That was a war. So it's all good, but I'm going to say this, that this Varnashram system is very difficult for people here in the West to follow, and most of it has failed, and the most demonstrative example is New Vrindavan, which is now selling oil through fracking in order to support themselves in West Virginia in the hillbilly mountains. Dharma Bhavana, how are you? Go ahead. Sorry for that.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to read from real
Yeah.
briefly Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya chapter 22, text 53. And just to comment on the Lilamrita, it was coming out in the 1980s. When I first read these pretty amazing statements that made Prabhupada look like an ordinary person, maybe just because so much conformity or whatever, I just kind of accepted that it was okay to say like that. I didn't really know that there was a problem. I couldn't understand that they were making Prabhupada look ordinary. And because we know New York was a terrible place and he had very little money. But the comments were kind of subtle and insidious, but due to conformity and the different circumstances, I didn't have any idea that was really wrongly written. And then about 20 years ago, I went to KrishnaConsciousNessMovement.com and started reading about the Lilamrita and a couple other articles. And it really opened my eyes, and I said, yeah, it really makes a difference here. It's really proper to. So here we're reading from text 53 now. Unless human society accepts it does.
Excuse me, could you repeat the reference, please?
Oh, yeah. Madhya chapter 22, text 53.
Okay.
Unless human society accepts the dust of the lotus feet of great Mahatmas, devotees who have nothing to do with material possessions, mankind cannot turn its attention to the lotus feet of Krishna. Those lotus feet vanquish all the unwanted, miserable conditions of material life. And the purport I'm going to read. This verse appears in Srimad Bhagavatam 7.5.32. When the great sage Narada was giving instructions to Maharaj Yudhisthira, he narrated the activities for Prahlad Maharaj. This verse was spoken by Prahlad Maharaj to his father Hiranyakashipu, the king of demons. Prahlad Maharaj informed his father of the 9 basic processes of Bhakti Yoga. Whoever takes to these processes is to be considered a highly learned scholar. Hiranyakashipu, however, did not like his son to talk about devotional service. Therefore, he immediately called his teacher Sandamarka. The teacher explained that he did not teach devotional service to Prahlad, but that the boy was naturally inclined that way. At that time, Hiranyakashipu became very angry and asked Prahlad why he had become a Vaishnav. In answer to this question, Prahlad Maharaj recited this verse to the fact that one cannot become a Lord's devotee without receiving the mercy and blessings of another devotee. That's all. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Glories to Prabhupada. Very, very appropriate. Ron Singh, are you behind the wheel or are you capable of speaking with microphone?
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Haribo. Maybe you could share a few thoughts on today's program with us. Bhakta Ron Singh. Yeah, that's a credit to him, his understanding of the philosophy, the history. Go ahead. Go ahead,
So
please.
many historical points have been discussed over the past 3 years. Vishwakarma, Nityānanda, who have directly participated in Srila Prabhupada's building of the Krishna consciousness movement. So we have a direct insight on how Srila Prabhupada wanted the movement to continue. And then we're discussing all these things here in 2025. So just see, that's a significant amount of time that has passed from 1965 and 2025 now. So this is very important because devotees who were present there, they actually know the standards that Srila Prabhupada had wanted, and they were directly trained up in that standard, and they were executing the orders of Srila Prabhupada as Srila Prabhupada had established it. And now fast forward a few years from 1965 to 1977, there was a great amount of changes that happened, and devotees who protested, actually, they were kicked out of the movement, and a lot of devotees just left because of the frustration. So similar thing has been happening since then, and now we see that there's so many forms of deviations that have entered Srila Prabhupada's movement. And we as disciples, students, should be aware that these things are very easy to correct, but there has to be some sort of system which reflects on what Prabhupada actually wanted. And if this is present, everything is very clear. And if things are just made up along the way and changed over and over, the masses of the people are very much confused. So we stress on reading of Srila Prabhupada's original books, unedited original books, which Prabhupada had always wanted, and then asking questions and getting all your doubts cleared here. So thank you very much, Vishwakarma, Nityānanda, and Prabhu, for giving us an opportunity to express ourselves and then carry on with this message of Srila Prabhupada.
Well, thank you. It's actually a team of devotees that are working together, and that is the excitement of this mission, that other people are stepping up and becoming part of this opportunity to please Krishna. Prabhupada said, do not try to see Krishna, but act in such a way that Krishna will want to see you. And what is the best way to get Krishna's attention is our group coming together and protecting Prabhupada's legacy, which is because he is so dear to Lord Krishna and his disciples, all of you. By the way, discipleship, for us, it's a commitment of the heart. When a person wants to become initiated, it's them that initiate themselves. Yes. Because they get the realization that they want to improve or increase their surrender to Lord Krishna through this mission. And then they become qualified by their surrender to become Prabhupada disciple. How does a champion in MMA achieve his goal? Because he takes the responsibility to become champion, and he does it. In the same way, all of us, if we take the responsibility, Vinaya, take the responsibility to become a Prabhupada disciple and decide to surrender, then the relationship is established. And then the Ritvik ceremony confirms it. That's all. Simple. Ram Raghava, please, your hands up. I see it.
Yes.
Sorry.
Hare Krishna, thank you. There are a couple of things I wanted to share.
Please.
One was regarding the topic of Varnashrama. I found a conversation from February 14, 1977 in Mayapur, where this topic came up. And Satsvarupa said, Lord Chaitanya, when Ramananda Rai brought this up, he said it was not possible in this age to introduce this. Prabhupada. Yes, he did not say possible. Iha bhaya. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was interested only on the spiritual platform. He had no idea of material side. He rejected material side. Satsvarupa. But don't we do that also? Prabhupada, no. Our position is different. We are trying to implement Krishna consciousness in everything. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally took sannyas. He rejected completely material, nishkinchana. But we are not going to be nishkinchana. We are trying to cement the troubled position that is also in the prescription of Bhagavad Gita. We are not rejecting the whole society. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected everything. Iha bhaya. Rejected meaning I do not take much interest in this. Bhaya. It is external. He was simply interested in the internal, the spiritual. But our duty is that we shall arrange the external affairs also so nicely that one day they will come to the spiritual platform very easily, paving the way. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, personality like that, they have nothing to do with this material world, but we are preaching. We are preaching. Therefore, we must pave the situation in such a way that gradually they will be promoted to the spiritual plane, which is not required. Varnashrama is not required, Satsvarupa said. Srila Prabhupada, not required. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu denied, I am not Brahmin, I am not Kshatriya, I am not this, I am not this. He rejected. But in the Bhagavad Gita, the Chatur Varnyam Maya Srishtam, Bhagavad Gita 4:13. So we are Krishna, preaching Krishna consciousness is much to be done. And also, I'd like to add, from what I remember at that time, there was one conversation, I cannot bring it up right now, but there was a discussion of how many devotees were falling down and not able to keep the standard. Many sannyasis were falling down. So Srila Prabhupada recognized that we need to have some arrangement because everybody wasn't obviously on the transcendental platform. So that's why he wanted to introduce the Varnashram system. Just a little more I'd like to read, please. Hari Shori. But in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's practical preaching, he only induced them to chant. Prabhupada. That is not possible for ordinary man. Hari Shori. What? To simply induce people to chant? Hari Shori. He only introduced just the chanting. Prabhupada. But who will chant? Who will chant? So in this way, that topic was there. And then also, I wanted to share something from the YouTube live stream. There's somebody named Know Yourself, and he had a nice comment. He said, Hare Krishna, I lived at Gita Nagari for 6 months, was about to get initiated out of formality, but sensed in my heart something wasn't right. Met and talked with JAS a few times. found Prabhupada's original books and the potency from these books are another world. Haribol, I just wanted to share. So he was appreciating how Prabhupada's books were out of this world and much superior to anything else he had read.
This is a very we'll carry on with this dialogue. We're moving to the end of the program, but very good question and very well researched answers from Srila Prabhupada on how we should see this. But the main thing is surrender, service and surrender. In our own personal lives, you have to look at your situation, determine where you're at, and figure out how you're going to make advancement and take up the banner of the Sankirtan movement in the bona fide disciplic succession from Srila Prabhupada and not from the bogus Vapuism that's been created by others. Yashodananda, if you could give a final comment, please.
Well, it's a pretty tough act to follow after hearing from Ram Maghavan and your good self. I guess the point that we've been making here is to try to follow Srila Prabhupada the way that Srila Prabhupada wanted to be followed. As many people have noticed in the last so many years, there's been so many changes, so many distortions. I've given a few examples. People can't even quote from a conversation with Srila Prabhupada. They purposely and consciously delete some very important statements from Srila Prabhupada because they have an agenda, a political agenda. We have no political agenda here. We look at Prabhupada's statements in the proper context, in the proper sequence, and see what he was trying to do. This is very important for every one of us and anybody. The whole idea of getting initiated is to go study the Vedas from the Acharya. Prabhupada has already given the purport of the Vedas, the meaning of the Vedas, the essence of the Vedas in his transcendental books, assuming you can get his original, unrevised, non-adulterated books. So it's not a very difficult thing to do. Simply, you have to avoid hearing from motivated people. That's all. Thank you very much. We will proceed with the next phase of the program and move on. Hare Krishna.
Well, thank you, everyone. And we'll carry on. We'll be back on Saturday morning. And it's at, I'll be in Canada then. It'll be 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And wherever you are worldwide. And if you can't attend the class on the live Zoom call, don't worry. It's still being recorded and saved on YouTube, the Hare Krishna Society YouTube channel. So if you miss sections of it and you want to review everything, if you have any questions, you can reach out to us. I believe our information will be shown at the end of the program. So we're on Facebook and we're on Instagram and YouTube. So look us up and contact us with your questions, or contact me personally if you want, 289-244-4315. That's 289-244-4315. That's my cell number. You can reach me. I'm not too busy. I'm always anxious to hear from everybody on anything they want to do. And if you want to participate in our program of book presentations and publications, we have a really sharp team of people working together. Shiv Narayan and his wife, and Krishna Kata, and Ron Singh, and Ram Raghava, and I know I'm forgetting a few people, but nonetheless, we have things that are going on, and we're always eager to find people who want to step up and do something. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to the Sankirtan movement. Let's move forward with the Kirtan for 2 minutes and 54 seconds of Srila Prabhupada chanting Hare Krishna. And then we'll have all the comments, all the credits that'll come up. And then there'll be some chanting from the devotees from Jamaica.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Let us offer our respectful obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnava devotees. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances. We all offer our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and we're full of compassion for the fallen souls. Thanks everybody for participating in this lively discussion and reading. Vishakama Prabhu in Yautepec, Mexico. Ram Raghava Prabhu in Brighton, Georgia. We have Koroneko Maxim from Russia. Thank you. Spasibo, spasibo, Prabhu. Balshoye spasibo. Vinay Sandeep from Bangalore. Shyamasundar Prabhu in Australia. Bhaktin Amber Indy from Texas. And Krishna Kata from San Diego. And the one and only Bhakta Ron Singh in Oroville, California. Rupa Goswami Prabhu in Mumbai. Shiv Narayana Prabhu in Tokyo, Japan, or somewhere close. Michael Dillon in Yuba City, California, and everybody participating. Thank you for coming to the program. Please stay for another 1 or 2 minutes with a beautiful kirtan from some Jamaican devotees. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram
Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Padakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavanscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathannitam Tvang Sajeevam Sadaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Sri Visakhantam Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Devani Srivar Sabhanavi Gahitaya Pipadhani Krishna Samanda Vijnanam Dayine Prabhavi Namaham Madhurya Ujjana Pramadhya Sri Rupanuga Bhakti Dam Sri Gauna Kanna Shakti Vidyajna Kute Namaste Gauravani Sakshat Vairagyamutte Vittalam Narashamodhe Tadam Bhojaya Te Namaha Nama Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidananda Namini निद्यष्ट्या सज्जना प्रिया वैष्णवा सार्वभौमश्री जगन्नाथाय ते नमः। वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्नि गौरतिसे नमः। पंचतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्त्यावतारं भक्त्याख्यं भक्तशक्तिरूपकम्। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। जयतां सुरतौ पंगा मम मंदमते गति मत्सर्वस्य पदां भोजो राधा मदन मोहन। दिव्यारण्यकल्पद्रुमाधा श्रीमद्रत्नागारसिंहासनस्थौ श्रीराधा श्रीरगोविन्ददेवौ सेवमानौ स्मरामि। श्रीमान रासरसारम्भी वंशी वटतटस्थितः